What's going on, irregulars? Welcome back on another Thursday. It's your boy Bobby. Caitlin, what's going on?
Oh, I'm here. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you sound super excited. You're like, yeah, I'm here. Ugh.
It's just like one of those weeks, I feel like we're recording this on a Tuesday, and it feels like it's Friday afternoon already. I'm exhausted.
I saw a meme, actually, I think it may have been posted in the Facebook group. It was like, pretty rude that it's not that it's Tuesday and not Friday.
Honestly,
or something like
same.
that.
I agree. Whoever posted that, shout out. So fucking true.
Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, I felt this. They're like, fuck, or the other one where it's like, fuck, it's a quote, fuck, it's been a long week, and then it says like in asterisks like me on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? You're like, god damn.
So, Bobby, the listeners want to know, how did the date with Katie go?
Oh, it was fucking sweet because it didn't happen.
No.
No. Got ghosted too.
No.
Ghosted.
No way.
Ghosted.
Wow. And for those who don't know, like, me and Bobby don't check in about a couple of things just so it can be organic on this podcast. And I'm fucking pissed. Tell me more. Now go.
Yeah, I got ghosted. Just set plans for the other night. And then before you know it, I was like, hey, we still good? Nothing. Haven't heard from her since.
Nothing at all since.
Nothing.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Yo, this is why I hate dating PSA. Like, I can't handle this shit. Like,
yeah, but don't you ghost guys?
I don't ghost them. I
you
just
bail
on them.
Okay, yeah, there's a huge difference. Huge difference, right?
It is different.
Okay.
Okay, so any other highlights of the week?
No, I 0 for 6 on shoot my shot with girls, so.
No.
Yeah, 0 for 6 this week.
6 people?
Something like that, like 5 or 6. I shot my shot.
Ladies, you hear that? He's wounded. He's ready for you.
I'm vulnerable, please.
Well, I mean, okay, have you increased maybe your amount of times you're reaching out to girls due to the New Year's resolution?
No, yeah, I think I have. Like, I've definitely been shooting my shot a lot more. But, yeah, 0 for 6 kind of sucked this week.
Look at it this way. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
And for me, it was I missed all 100% of the shots that I did take, so... Here we are.
Oh my god. Oh, it'll get better. It's still the first month. You have 11 more months to go.
Yeah. What happens at the end of 11 months? So I just like disappear, just disintegrate into nothing.
We'll start new resolutions then. Maybe in 11 months you and I will be in like super like functional, happy, healthy relatiuships.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath.
And then probably the world will set on fire and
more than it already is.
And yeah.
Fair enough. How about you? What's up with you?
I had a long weekend. I got together with my college roommates, one of whom our listeners are familiar with, Liv. She came back to visit, and much like her last visit, everyone is they're just never dull. They're so long. They're so exhausting.
This is true.
Yeah, we did brunch on Sunday, which I haven't done brunch in this area yet, and let me tell you, brunch in the suburbs is supposed to be chill. And we weren't feeling chill, so we actually asked our server, who was like 19 and just like I think terrified of us. We're like, so what would you do if we like went into the other room, like COVID compliant, wore masks, but used our cell phones, put it in a cup, and started dancing to rave music? She's like, I guess that would be fine. So we turned a really nice brunch spot into a rave, basically.
Dope.
And then the table next to us of like 5 or 6 girls, they had been there way before us, so they were already lit. And we didn't realize that brunch ended at 2. We got there at like 12:45. So we were like slamming mimosas because we're like, well, we're going to get our fucking money's worth.
Someone's got to play catch up, right?
Absolutely. And like how we did. At one point, we were chugging them, and it was like falling down the one dude's mouth. And the waitress was like, please stop. I'll just get you guys another pitcher. Like, please, I'm begging you. Like, fucking relax. But anyway, so the other table comes over, and the one girl was like really feeling herself, and she bent over one of the guys in our group who was like 6'4" and 300 pounds and starts being like, it's somebody's birthday. Birthday spanks. Proceeds to spank this man 21 times.
Wait, the man got spanked?
Oh, yes. She's dealing out spanks, and he's like trying to bend over, and his like back hurts. He's like, oh, no, it's not feeling great right now.
Oh, my God.
She like twirls me in. She's like, your turn. Yeah, spank him. I'm like, what is happening?
What the fuck is going on?
I hope I don't see any of my coworkers here.
This is very true. Damn, well, I'm just gonna say thanks for the invite. That was super dope. Just to let you guys know I was not there.
You were doing your own thing Sunday.
Yeah, I was. I was fucked up somewhere else. But
I'm so proud. He's really just like, I feel like I'm like growing this child of like
degeneracy.
The party world, baby.
Well, it's all gonna end. I'm done at the end of the month. Done drinking. Not for the rest of my life, but like we're gonna take a break.
I want to support you as your friend, but I also want to drink with you as your friend. So I feel a little bit betrayed, but also like
a moral thicket right now.
Yeah, I support. I check back next week. We'll see how I feel.
Yeah, next week I'm like I'm on another bender.
So anyway.
So we're here with a guest who is extremely close to me. 15 months close to me actually, almost to the day too. I do have my sister. Her name is Leanne. And we're going to dive into a little topic here that a lot of people just don't talk about, you know?
I think it's a really important topic, and I'm so excited that we have Leanne here with us today. First of all, I want to commend you for coming on here and talking about this today because it's a tough topic. Today we're going to be talking about pregnancy loss and infertility. Leanne, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited. I didn't think Bobby would ever let me on here.
She was, I'm not gonna lie.
She was so mad.
She was so mad that we had Zach on first.
Oh, I bet. When he's like, I'm having Zach on, I'm like, oh, that's
I literally
ballsy.
texted him like, what the fuck?
I was like, sorry, you're like not.
I think I texted you the meme, like, fuck me, right?
Oh, yeah. I was like, first off, that's my meme. Second off, chill. You're not that cool. So, sorry, I have to, guys, let's just preface this. I have to make fun of her. She is my sister. So,
Yeah, I'll allow it.
There will be jokes today
Yes.
thrown at her. I actually don't dislike her as a person. It's like my moral
It's how we grew up.
obligation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll try and moderate. I'll do the best that I can. But yeah, so not a great happy topic, obviously.
Yeah.
Something that I think, at least from my perspective, as I've gotten older, I've noticed that this is way more prominent than we ever knew. Like, we grow up and no one tells you, like, it's going to be hard.
Absolutely.
If anything, it's the opposite. They're like, you fuck once, you're going to get pregnant.
I know. I joke about it now. It's like, and sorry, mom and dad, for saying this, but like, in high school, I was like, oh, I could have totally had like unprotected sex and it wouldn't have been a problem. But, like,
Sorry,
mom and dad.
This
Not
is
that
funny.
I did. I mean, totally safe.
Yeah,
You know,
always. This
always,
is funny
but-
watching Bobby blush as you talk about sex.
I
by the
know.
way. This is
I
gonna
did think it was going to be
fun.
weird, like talking about this with my brother, but
It is going to be a little interesting. I'm not going to lie. But again, yes, as Caitlin said, I do commend you because although it is a very like emotional topic and it's not a very happy one, nonetheless, but one thing that I have learned over your journey from your first pregnancy to today is that this is something that you're passionate about. You
Absolutely.
do post about it a lot on social media. You are making sure that you are an advocate for people who are feeling the same way and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or going through the same things.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been open about it since my very first one. So just like a little bit of background, I had 3 miscarriages. My very first pregnancy resulted in a miscarriage, and I was 25 at the time. So you're like, what the hell? Like, this is what my body's supposed to do. Like, what's going on here? And then there's not a lot of like resources out there either for like people in coping with miscarriage because people just don't talk about it. In our parents' day and age, they didn't have really like pregnancy tests like were a thing, but they never didn't test as quickly as we did. Like those tests weren't as effective as they are now.
You didn't get your results in fucking
right
2
in
seconds.
2 seconds. So
Yeah.
like a lot of the times women in like our parents' age and older like would get a period and they just think that their period was late when they really was an early miscarriage. So there's
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
yeah, so you could totally like your parents could have experienced one, your grandparents, great whatever, and just never have known it because you just treat it as a a late period or whatever.
That is so wild.
So yeah, it's I think we're a little bit more informed about it today. I mean, you see celebrities all the time speaking out. I mean, like Chrissy Teigen is one off the top of my head.
Who's that? I don't know who that is.
She's like a model. She's married to John Legend.
You know who Chrissy Teigen is.
You know who she is. She has like really high cheekbones and she's pretty.
I'll have to Instagram of it
You
later.
have to
or
look at
something.
yeah. Well, they lost their son. I think she was like 22 or 23 weeks pregnant.
How many months is that? That shit always confuses me.
It's roughly halfway through pregnancy. So 20 weeks is halfway through pregnancy. So she was a little over halfway. And
It's just devastating.
had
I've
to
seen her
deliver.
post.
Yeah,
It looks,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
How to deliver, their stillborn. So
your first miscarriage
my first miscarriage
was how many weeks in then?
So
if we're on
yeah,
that topic.
yeah. So you typically like you go see your doctor at 8 weeks. Like that's the first time that they're going to see you. And so we went in at 8 weeks for my very first appointment, and they said that the baby stopped growing at 6. So 6
But it was
weeks.
still alive at that point?
It wasn't like it was still
Okay.
in me. It was like really just tissue. There were just like was like there was like the sac and everything. There just was no heartbeat. They measure it. It's really cool. Like the ultrasound, they take like this thing and they measure, and it tells you like how big it is. And there's certain measurements that it should be at, and then it wasn't where it should be at 8 weeks. They weren't quite sure. They saw like a faint heartbeat. So they're like, come back in 2 weeks, but don't get your hopes up. So I'm like,
I hope they delivered that news like a little bit more like effectively.
I mean,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was really like, come back in 2 weeks. Like, we're not seeing what we want to be seeing. We just want to make sure, that this is what's happening. Like, there is a chance that this can continue to be a viable pregnancy, or it can't. But we want to prepare you for the worst, and that it's not going to be.
What was that like for you? Like, how did you guys take that news?
I mean, for the very first one, it was like just complete and utter shock.
Was it you and Zach in the room too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was in the room with me, and like I just didn't know how to take it. Like I never knew anybody that experienced this. So it's like, how do I handle this? Like, what do I do?
And the reason why I asked that too is because I don't think he was able to go to any of your doctor's appointments and stuff for your last child because of COVID.
He came to the very first one because we found out I was pregnant right before COVID hit.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to let everyone know there's a reason why I asked that question.
Yes.
Not everyone can come to appointments.
And he works, and there's plenty of ones that he didn't. I mean, I'll talk about it again, but my third miscarriage, he wasn't there. I had to find out that news by myself. So he was there. We just kind of like, well, like, what do we do? We'll just kind of wait and see. So then we went back like 2 weeks later, and
did you tell family at that point? Like,
we told no one.
Okay.
Because like I jumped the gun a bit too. I was like, okay, we bought like these like wine bottles that say you're gonna be grandparents, and like we were so excited because we were ready to start a family. Like, I got pregnant right away. We got off my birth control in November. We started in December. By January, I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So,
and like, I also want to preface too, like, let's keep in mind that like this is going to be the one and only time that I'm going to hype my sister up. And my sister did everything right in quote unquote correct as far as like a normal like relationship marriage. She met a nice guy in college. They waited till she graduated college to get married. They got married. They stayed married for a couple years and learned what it was like to be a married couple. Then decided to have babies. So,
all right, I got to cut you off on that though. I'm sorry. I have to. It is maybe
it's the politically correct.
Yeah,
way.
that's what I said.
I get where you're going.
It's the white picket fence way, which
That's
is
what I'm
great
saying.
and it's awesome. But
I'm not saying I'm not discrediting. I'm not
that,
discrediting that. That's how that it should be. I'm just saying that she did the normal thing,
right?
And
well,
then,
it's what your
parents would
want.
expect of you to follow that route.
Correct.
Yes.
So then that's why, like, when she started having all these, challenges, I'm like, man, this is really frustrating because it's like this is the picture perfect.
Right, and it makes you think like people that don't like young girls maybe or irresponsible women who are not ready to be mothers and they get pregnant by accident.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure that's frustrating for you.
It's like you see these people who have been in a relationship with somebody for 3 months and they're posting on Facebook their pregnancy announcement, and you're looking at it like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, here I am doing quote unquote the right thing, and here you are, you barely know this person, and it's like, well, why isn't it happening for me? And it's exhausting, like mentally, and like seeing that. I mean, I had to take a break from social media for a while because I was just like, at that time, so many people were posting like announcements and stuff, and I'm just like, why isn't it me? Like, what is wrong with my body? Why can't my body do this? And why does it hate me?
And I'm sure that was so like conflicting for you too, like wanting to be happy for them, but also like, upset for yourself.
Exactly. And yeah, it's tough because it's, I've had friends go through similar situations, and, I thought that we could be people to like rely on one, not like we really like rely on each other,
like
but
on each other,
and but it didn't turn out that way. So like everybody handles it differently, and you handle miscarriage or loss or whatever, infertility in your own way. But I just want to be somebody that someone can reach out to, and I've had plenty of people do it. I share my story religiously, like on social media, especially in the month of October when it is pregnancy loss, and infertility awareness month. So like I do share my story then. And I've had people Bobby, you know, I'm not going to name any names because I'm not rounding anybody out. It's their story to tell. But people that you know who have just messaged me privately and been like, hey, you know, this happened. We were pregnant. I lost a baby. How did you cope? And I just kind of just help them through it and tell them, look, it's okay. It's more normal than you think. Unfortunately, it is. And we are seeing it more. I mean, I can't tell you how many. I'm shocked by the amount of people that have just come out and said, you know, I've had a miscarriage. And it's like, okay, well, like, what's going on to cause this? Like, why is this happening?
Well, that was my next question was, like, did they ever figure out what was, quote unquote, wrong with you?
No. So kind of like backtracking here. So I had my first miscarriage. We found out in February. And I had a D&C done. So they dilate you. And then what they do is kind of like vacuum out the tissue.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like,
what was that like for you?
It was kind of like, it was emotional because it's like, you're sitting
sucking
there and you're
life out of
sucking
you.
like what could have been my child out of me. Like,
Oh my gosh.
and because I've had 3 D&Cs, I'm now listed as a habitual aborter, like on medical
Oh my
paperwork. And it's like, okay, but it's not by choice. I'm not aborting babies just for the hell
I'm
of
not
it.
going
Like,
out getting
believe
pregnant.
me.
Yeah.
What a tough term.
And I like
Ouch.
hate that. So like when I go to get blood work done, it says like habitual aborter on it. And I'm like, no,
And you
it's
wanna be
like,
there should be
I
an
crossed it
asterisk on
out.
that.
Like I literally crossed out. I was like, no, habitual miscarriages. And it's like not by choice.
Good for you.
So, yeah, so they had the first miscarriage in February, went in for a D&C, recovered from that. And that recovery is just kind of like a period. It's cramping, bleeding, can't wear, a tampon. So it just kind of sucks. I ended up in the emergency room a day or 2 afterwards because I hemorrhaged and I just didn't know what to do.
What's that?
Like I just bled, like just
kept bleeding.
Just kept
Okay.
bleeding. I mean, like clots, everything. It looked like a murder scene. It was absolutely horrible. So then we were just kind of like, all right, doctor always has to wait 1 cycle before trying again. So I'm like, we'll just kind of see what happens.
Zach's like, damn it.
So, I mean, like, it's not like you can't have sex, but they're like, just like to actively try to have a baby, they're like, wait 1 cycle. So we waited 1 cycle before we, started trying again. And even then it wasn't like, I'm tracking my ovulation and like, this is when we have to do it. We're just kind of like, we were winging it. If it happens, it happens. So a friend of mine had gotten married in June. I got super drunk. And we came home, did the deed, and I was like, but pull out, just like, we're not ready for this just yet. Just let's pull out. So he pulled out, but I ended up getting pregnant. So
Oh, you hear that, ladies and gentlemen?
We have to know, what were you drinking?
oh God, I don't remember.
Tequila?
No.
Damn it.
I think I was drinking white wine.
Okay.
Oh.
Most likely because that's all I drank. But
This is terrifying also.
Yeah,
The pull-out method
pull-out
actually doesn't work.
method
Fuck.
does not work. You can still get pregnant, hence I did.
I thought that was a myth. I mean, this is going to sound so stupid, but like I thought it was like a .nothing% chance.
Oh,
Point
nothing.
nothing.
Well, I'm part of that point nothing
Oh
percent
my
chance
God.
that it
Fuck.
happened.
All right, good to know. Not
so-
that I do that, but like I just, for our listeners who do, just figured they should
Just
know.
be careful.
Anyway.
Yeah, so found out that I was pregnant again in, I think it was like July. Yeah. And this time around, because I had just had a miscarriage in February, my doctor's like, well, let's take you in at 6 weeks and do an ultrasound and like we'll go from there. So I went to a specialist and had an ultrasound done at 6 weeks and like, okay, we faintly see a heartbeat. Like, this is good. And I'm like, all right, we're getting excited.
And is it normal to see a faint heartbeat at that point?
Not, I mean, like, they say you can, but, like, it's not, like, what this, I don't even know what, like, the terminology is for someone who does ultrasounds, like, an
The ultrasound
is that
tech?
Yeah, I'll just
Sounds
use
right.
that. So she said, that there's this faint heartbeat, and really she shouldn't have said that. Our doctor came and was like, she never should have said that to you. We're just kind of like, she shouldn't have said anything at all. So then
So she was the one who really broke it to you first, really.
yeah, that like
Okay.
there was like a little bit of faint heartbeat and gave us like this glimmer of hope, and so like we left all excited and we're like, hey, it's happening. 2 weeks later, went back.
So you were going to that appointment and you were not supposed to have learned anything. That was
Right.
just for their
It
own
was just for their
purposes
own
to track.
purposes to track, to measure. Like, so they were going to measure me at 6
Oh.
weeks and then go again at 8 weeks to see like if there was any growth abnormalities or whatever. Or if, at 8 weeks you can see the heartbeat. You can't, I don't think you can hear it, but like you can see it.
Right.
So we went again at 8 weeks, and they were doing another ultrasound, and I kind of knew what to look for because we had, 2 other ultrasounds before that. And, the doctor's face just dropped, and I was like, here we go again. And just started crying, and the doctor was like, all right, I'm going to give you guys some time to process, and, we'll meet together and discuss how we're going to move forward. So, I just sat there crying, and Zach just held me, and he's like, it's okay. It's going to happen. And he was just so supportive. And I'm like, why is this happening? I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense. So we met with the doctor, and he said that we're going to do what we did the last time and do another DNC, but this time we're going to take the tissue and take it for genetic testing. He's like, just to make sure that there's nothing wrong with your uterus or how anything attaches to it, and you're going to have an MRI done as well of your uterus just to make sure structurally it's okay to hold a pregnancy.
And why did they do this? You said it's not typical that they do this.
Yeah,
why
it's not typical that they do it after your second miscarriage. Typically they want you to have more than 3.
Oh, that's just awful.
Which is horrible. I loved my doctor. He has since retired, and I was so sad. But I love that he advocated for me. Because I'm 25. I don't know. I haven't experienced this, and so he's like, look, this is what we're gonna do. He's like, typically we don't do this, but you're young. Why is this happening? We need to figure out what's going on. You just had a miscarriage back in February, and here you are again 6 months later. So we went in for another DNC, and there was this nurse there who was there for my first one, and her name was Alice, and she was just my guardian angel. So, she saw me, and she's like, I was hoping it wasn't you when I saw the name. Let me just hug you. And she's like, I'm so sorry. She's like, it will happen, I promise. And she was just such a sweetheart, and she made that time a little bit more easier than the first time I had a DNC. So they took the tissue for genetic testing. Recovery was the same as the first time. I ended up back in the emergency room again because I hemorrhaged again. And we still don't know why that happened, but they did the testing, then they brought us back in, and everything came back normal. So, and in a way that pissed me off.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's I would rather something come back and be wrong so we know how to fix it and know how to move forward from here than to have nothing be wrong and be like, well, you just got to keep trying. It's well, fuck. My MRI came back pretty normal. They said the lining on my one uterus was thicker than the other sides, but that shouldn't have a problem with holding a pregnancy. Your progesterone level was down, so that's something to monitor the next time that you get pregnant. I'm like, all right. So I said to Zach, I was like, I just need to take a break from this, back to back. Let's just wait. Let me get myself emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever, back in track. So then October came around, and I'll never forget this. I was at work, and I had just pulled into the parking lot. I was driving our agency car coming back to the office for a meeting. And I stood up, and for some reason, I had just gotten over my period, and I went to white, I felt something, and my hand was covered in blood. And I looked on the seat of the car.
This probably sounds weird to Bobby, but this is very normal for girls. If we feel blood, we do a low-key check.
You just know to check. And I just I stood out of the car, and I felt a gush. I was like, what was that? My period was just over last week. What is going on? Went to the bathroom. I mean, it was a straight up murder scene. And for I would say 2 weeks, I couldn't not be near a bathroom because I was just bleeding. And it
this
was
is just randomly in October.
Out of nowhere, what is going on? It was horrible. I had to take off time from work because I couldn't be at work. I needed to be near a bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
So they did I think they did an ultrasound, I want to say, and they said that there was tissue from my first miscarriage still in my uterus. It wasn't the second one. It was the first one. I guess with how it was decaying, for lack of a better term.
They can figure out how old dinosaurs are.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll figure that out, right?
So I had to have a uterine surgery done to get all that tissue out. And while they were in there, they shaved the lining of my uterus as well. They're like, this will help with that thickness of maybe having the egg attached to, your uterine wall and be able to hold a pregnancy. So in the 2015, I had 3 DNCs.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah. And I was starting to lose hope that this wasn't going to happen for me. And it was tough.
What was that process like for you? How did that feel?
It sucked. It's a woman's body is made to do this, and it's made to produce, babies. I mean, whether you want them or not, like, that's just
right.
Props to women out there who don't want kids and are vocal about it. Like, more power to you.
I think what you're trying to say is men cannot have babies.
Men cannot have babies. Like, women's bodies were made to reproduce. So it's like, why can't I do this? Like, why does my body hate me? What am I doing wrong? Why can't I have a baby? And it sucks. And I know there's people out there who have gone through like even worse struggles than this. And like, I don't want to diminish like what they've gone through, because obviously like, there's plenty of people who have it, way harder than 3 miscarriages. I had a mom on my caseload. She had 17. She tried for 7 years to have a baby, had 17 like miscarriages, and just ended up adopting because it was just like too much for her. So like, I know there's people out there, but
I
like
think it's important too,
everybody's
like,
story is,
yeah, I think that's one thing I think, low-key plug for last episode, in therapy I've learned is never to diminish your own experiences.
Right.
And I mean, even having 1's traumatic, but 3 is a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah, and I kept like telling myself that like it was hard to feel bad because I knew that there was other people out there that had it worse. And I'm like, here I am crying over 3 miscarriages. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, I know people out there who can't get pregnant. Like, what? But at the same time, it's like I need to deal with my own grief, and like there just wasn't a way that I could do it. Like, it was hard for my husband to understand what I was feeling. Like, guys don't go through this, and they don't know the emotional toll that it takes. So I think after that one, we just said, we're going to take a break for a while and just get myself back on track, mentally, physically, emotionally, the whole 9. So that spring in 2016, I started like a weight loss challenge with a friend, and dropped close to 25, 30 pounds, I want to say.
Damn, good for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Got in the best shape of my life.
Ain't no body like a comeback body, let me tell you. When you're trying to get over something traumatic, your body looks
Yes. I channeled all that, I think, grief and disappointment into the gym. And I think that's where I found like my love for it is, I think I needed that to happen for me to find what I needed to fix myself mentally. So yeah, got in the best shape of my life. And then in August of 2016, found out that we were pregnant. And at the time, I called my doctor and I said, I got a positive pregnancy test.
Were you guys trying at this point still, or?
I think that was, I think August was like the first month we're like, all right, let's go. We're planning a baby around wrestling season, so we got to start now.
So funny.
So because my husband coaches high school wrestling, so we had a plan. We wanted to plan our first baby around for him to still be coaching.
That's so funny. I love that.
August was like, needs to happen in August. So it happened in August, and I got a positive pregnancy test, and I called my doctor, and he's like, all right, we're going to get you started on progesterone. So it's just like an extra hormone because my progesterone level was normal or a little bit low when I had all the blood work done with the genetic testing. So they started me on the progesterone, and I was taking that, every night for the first 12 weeks. And, we went for our first appointment at 8 weeks, and we saw the heartbeat. Everything was going great, and I cried happy tears, and I couldn't believe that, it was like, we're not in the clear yet, and I was still worried. I mean, I worried my entire pregnancy with my daughter. You just don't know. Mm-hmm. But we got to the first 12 weeks, and I was like, all right, here we go. This is it. Like, this is our rainbow baby. Like, we got her. So Eva was born on Bobby's birthday.
Yeah, so funny. So don't worry, guys. I'm still here. I'm just soaking all this in because a lot of this I actually don't know either, as much as far as like all the details and whatnot. But funny story actually is like when she got pregnant and whatnot, they were like, you had your date announced and whatnot, or like what was it, like
our due
6th?
date, the May 7th,
all right. And I literally turned to my buddy Wags and I was like, yeah, my sister said that she's due May 7th. And he looks at me, takes a sip of beer, and goes, she'll be born on your birthday. And I was like, yep, that'll happen.
Well, it's funny, like when I told Bobby about it, he's like, better not be born on my birthday, and it better be a boy. Yep. I'm like, well, one, I don't have control over either of those things. So I was like, I'm hoping I don't go till the 15th because that's 7 days after my due date. I don't want to be overdue, but
and sure enough, I'll literally never forget it. We were out to dinner. We usually non-COVID when we got like my birthday. I don't really celebrate it all that much. And
yeah, me either.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. And yeah, so I don't really like. I'm not a big birthday guy, so we usually just go to this hibachi place and just get dinner and then come back and hang out and whatnot. And we're like, I don't know, like Leanne, like this and the other thing, she might give birth, who knows. That morning I sit down at work and I get a text from my mom, your sister just went into labor. And I go, of course she did, because it's my fucking birthday and we have dinner reservations. So we changed the dinner reservations for it was 6 to 4 because Zach and Leanne weren't going to be there. We go out to dinner, and at dinner we get a text, Eva was born, blah, blah, blah. And we're like, okay, cool. Packed up dinner real quick, went right to the hospital. I'm like, God damn it. Like, this
poor
is...
Bobby's
like,
his birthday's overshadowed.
Okay, so I actually have a funny story about that, and I hope you remember this because, little plug here. I'm obsessed with Leanne's child, and this happened. It was slow. I didn't even know it was happening until I was full on stalking her, virtually and at some point in public too, but we won't talk about that. But
I just found that out too.
This was before Bobby and I had really gotten close too. So like this is a very unwarranted obsession, but like her kid is so cute. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. So I would, text Bobby here and there when he was living in Florida and just randomly shoot him texts like, oh my God, your niece is so cute. Like she's just amazing. She's so beautiful. Hope you're doing well. Like,
yeah, right.
So it was Eva's birthday. So social media is like flooded with all these pictures of Eva. And I didn't know it was Bobby's birthday. So I literally texted Bobby on his own birthday, just gushing about his niece like I usually do. Happy birthday, Eva. Cutest girl in the world. Like, love her. Have a good day. Don't say
Bobby's,
a word. Not
Bobby.
A word. And he doesn't, Bobby, he's like,
all right, whatever.
I'm going to give him a nice little, put up here. He's modest sometimes. But he didn't say shit. And the next day, I saw posts for Bobby's birthday. I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a dick. I'm like, yo, was yesterday your birthday? He's like, yeah, I wasn't going to say anything. I'm like, my bad. Fuck.
If Bobby's like a living meme, it's that fuck me right.
Yeah,
that's,
fuck me right.
That's what.
So moral of the story is you did have a successful pregnancy.
We did have a successful pregnancy. And, I will forever say it. If every pregnancy was like my pregnancy with Eva, I would have 100 kids. I mean, I felt great. It was wonderful. My labor was so easy.
I think
you deserve that.
She looked so, like, I remember being at the hospital after, and, like, how, like, sometimes, like, you see women after they just have a kid, they look like they just went through a fucking war.
Because it is a war.
Yeah.
Pushing out a kid.
Because it is, yeah. And I remember, like, walking in, I'm like, did you even have this child? Like, were you, like, she looked like she was just, it looked like she was just chilling on the couch. And I'm like,
That's awesome. Well,
okay.
I think you deserve that.
Yeah.
After.
And, epidural meds are wonderful too. So it makes you feel good. When you don't feel any pain, you're going to be feeling pretty good after giving birth.
Yeah.
But so we got our rainbow baby, and she's wonderful. I mean, she's so sassy and just.
For those of who don't know, including myself, what is a rainbow baby?
So a rainbow baby is like a baby after child loss. So whether you lost a child who was already like a year or so older, or you lost a child in pregnancy, they call it like the rainbow after the storm. So
okay,
oh, that's cute.
Yeah, so it's just something that I guess people do and then label it as a rainbow baby. I don't know.
It's special. It's nice. Yeah.
It's special. You went through this traumatic thing, and here's your your gift or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a rainbow baby, and Zane's a rainbow baby.
Yeah,
he's
so,
the second child.
Yeah, he's our second child who I just had in October. So,
and I actually didn't know that. I, again, commend you for being so public about it. But I had learned the term rainbow baby from you on social media, and then when you had posted about Zane, I don't know that you said it right away, but I remember eventually when I saw you post it, I'm like, oh shit, she must have had another miscarriage between the two.
Yeah,
and
I did.
And just for our listeners, I'm learning the details of this as you guys are. That's why I'm asking 12 million questions, because I wasn't really, I knew you struggled, but I didn't know.
And
the
for
extent of
Katie
it.
not to know what's going on in my sister and Eva's life is
considering I have my, Eva has her own stalker. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
no.
Like
number one
you
fan
to
club. I don't have. There's no members. Just me. It's just my fan club. We're not accepting any new members
just
at this
Katie.
time. It's just my fan club. Anyway.
Yeah. So, we knew that we wanted more than one. I was adamant on 2 only. Zach was like, give me 5. I'm like, you're not the one pushing them out. So,
but he's the one pushing them in.
Hey! Oh my God.
My man.
No. So we were like, all right, well, let's start trying, for another one. And it was it 2019, 2018? I don't even, oh my God, this is mom brain like at its finest right now. Regardless, in January of 2000, I think it was 19, got pregnant again and started the progesterone, like as my doctor started, because we worked with Eva. So we started the progesterone, and Zach was away at wrestling for my very first 8-week appointment.
It would
So
be
were you still-
2020, by the way.
Was it?
No, it was 2019.
Oh, sorry. We're not talking about Zane.
We're not talking about
No.
Zane.
Okay.
So at this point when you were pregnant, were you nervous again, or did you feel more hopeful?
I was nervous. I was more so nervous because like I was technically starting a new job. I was going back to an old job I had prior to Eva. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to fuck this up. Like, I don't want to come in here and be like, oh, by the way, I'm pregnant and I'm going to
What were
have to
you
leave
nervous
again.
about the baby,
Yeah, you're always going to be. I think
Right.
like if you experience one loss every single pregnancy, you're going to be like
On
just
edge.
on edge.
Right.
And you're on edge the entire time until that baby's here. And then when that baby's here, you're even more on edge because of,
Now you have to take care
you
of
have
it.
to take care of it. And, there's SIDS is real. It's scary. And, babies don't talk, so they don't tell you what's wrong. And it's just guessing it. So you're constantly on edge thinking of like, am I doing this right? And whatnot. So yeah, I was incredibly nervous, especially because Zach couldn't be at the appointment with me. He was away for wrestling that day I had the appointment, so I was by myself. And again, from experience and looking at the ultrasound, I just knew. I looked at it and I looked at my doctor, and he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, it's okay. I kind of had a feeling this was going to happen. Like, I just wasn't hopeful. I think I was at the point with pregnancies where, you got that positive pregnancy test, but like you couldn't be excited about it, because you always had that thought in the back of your head, like it's not going to happen.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
It's like I can't be excited about a pregnancy test. Like I had these dreams of telling Zach in a fun, creative, Pinteresty type of way, and telling our family like, hey, you're going to be grandparents. And even with Eva, we didn't do that. We just flat out said, hey, we're pregnant. If we have a loss again, we need you here for support. There wasn't an elaborate way to tell anybody, and I think that kind of sucks because this is an exciting time in like a woman and, not to discredit Zach, but like in his life too, to say that you're having a baby and you want to announce it in a fun way to everybody. And when you experience numerous losses, you can't get excited about it.
You can't show it off.
Right.
You can't because you're just constantly worried. So, so I had another miscarriage and I went in for another D&C, and thankfully this time there was no hemorrhaging after it. We had a wonderful doctor who we talked about it, like, hey, 2 surgeries, I hemorrhaged. Like, what can we do to stop this? Mm-hmm. So recovery was fine, and then I was like, we just need to chill again. Like, I don't want to go through this. Let's just wait. And I think we started actively trying again, like in the summer, and then I couldn't get pregnant. So we were tracking my ovulation, doing it like right when it needed to happen. It's like, all right, let's go. We need to make this happen. It's ovulation time. Next month comes, my period comes. And you're like,
Zach stops cutting the grass halfway through the lawn. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, all right, shit.
yeah. So like, there's a certain window that women are the most fertile, and you track that, and we were tracking my ovulation, and it wasn't happening. We were 3 days before, 3 days after. I mean, just wasn't happening. I'm like, what the fuck?
And what was that like on the relationship? Can I ask? Like, did that make the?
It was stressful.
Did it make the sex like not fun?
It felt like work. Like it just like
Really?
It felt like work. I mean, guys, I'm gonna speak for Zach here. Like, sex is sex. And he's like, anyway, I can get it, and I'm gonna get it.
It's like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still
so
pretty good.
But like, to me, it was just like it was work. Like it was.
Yeah.
Like, is it gonna happen this time? Is it gonna happen this time? So yeah, that caused like stresses, and you get sick of doing it because you're just like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Like you keep getting just
demotivated.
Yeah.
Unmotivated.
Yeah, demotivated is not a word.
Yeah, whatever.
So yeah, for a while it just wasn't happening. And
how many months was this?
I would say like we started actively trying again in like July. So it was like July, August, September, October, November,
Oh my
December.
gosh, wow.
Like wasn't happening.
I think that's pretty common too, from what I understand.
It
For a
can,
lot
yeah,
of women.
it can be. And, you know, I read something, and I could be totally wrong on this, that it'll take like a good year and a half or something before a woman can, like, of trying. Like, that's the average length of a woman trying to get pregnant. So I was like discouraged, but I wasn't. But I was also like, I can't emotionally take this anymore. Like, I've been through 3 miscarriages, surgery on my uterus, like countless pregnancy tests that are like negative, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
You're beat up.
Yeah,
You're
I'm done. Like, I'm done. And, you know, Zach is like, I don't want to be an old dad, so like we need to make this happen now. And like, you know, I'm pushing 30, and, you know, I don't want to be having babies late in my 30s, and, you know, personal preference. So I said to Zach, I was like, look, and all this time I was like on progesterone, so it was like already a hormonal mess and whatever. I said to him, I was like, look, this is our last shot, otherwise I'm done. I just can't take it anymore. Emotionally, physically, if Eva's all we have, she is so special, and she'll always know that, and then this is it, this is going to be our only kid. And he's like, okay, all right, we'll just give it one last shot. And, you know, good thing we did, because right before I was turning 30.
Actually, I remember when she I have a sixth sense for when women are pregnant too, by the way. I've called multiple women out when they are pregnant. It was your 30th birthday party, and she was like, hey, can I talk to you real quick? And I was just like, yeah, sure, like, because it was a surprise party or whatever at the house here. And I was like, yeah, sure. She like pulls me aside. She's like, so, and I go, you're pregnant. And she's like, what?
I was like, did mom tell you? Because I had already told my mom.
Yeah,
and
she's
like, no.
I was like, no. And she's like, how did you? I was like, you're pregnant. I also called another group of friends out. Literally just showed up to their house one night. We were just getting together. Came, hey, what's up, girl? Hey, how you doing? You're pregnant. She's like, what?
You probably shouldn't do that to people just like randomly, just a little bit of advice.
I only do it with people. I only do it with people I know.
On the street, you're pregnant. She's like, who the fuck are you, buddy?
So rude.
Yeah. But yeah, so she was just like, you're pregnant. And I was just like, all right, cool. And I actually, if I'm not mistaken, my first question was, because I had known that she had miscarriages. I was like, what happens if it's, I said, how far along are you? And I think you were 10 weeks, I think.
No, I was like, literally, I took a pregnancy test on the 6th. My birthday was on the 8th. So it was like, I was like 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, yeah.
2 weeks.
So you couldn't drink on your birthday. That blows.
I know.
Oh, God.
My 30th, you know?
Wow.
Yeah. But I remember, I'm almost positive my next question was like, if you have another miscarriage, are you gonna? Yeah. And she was like, I'm letting you know, if this doesn't work out, we're done.
We're done.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. So I was a complete nervous wreck for the first like 8 weeks, and you know, because you learn your body, like you just know when your body's pregnant. As a woman, it feels different, and you have your symptoms of nausea, whatever, morning sickness, and I had that. I was like feeling really nauseous, and then one day it just stopped. And that's kind of what happened like in my second pregnancy, that I, you know, ended up losing, like my symptoms just went away. And I think that was my body's way of telling me like this isn't a viable pregnancy. So here I am this time around, like just nervous. And I remember Zach and I driving to my doctor's appointment, and I cried the entire way. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is just so scary. And he's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You got to think positive. And like, I sobbed the entire way. So we got into the doctor's office, and like they did the ultrasound, and we saw that little flicker, and I just lost it. I was like, oh my God. And like just like a sense of relief.
I'm crying. I know you guys can't see that on here, but I am now crying as well.
You know, just a sense of relief. I was like, oh my God. All right. Still not in the clear, but it's there. Like it's there. So again, continue the progesterone, went again for our 12-week, and things were going great. And here's Zane in October.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because it's like you would think like, I mean, everyone obviously, you know, healthy baby, this, that, and the other thing. That's like the healthiest kid on the planet. The dude does nothing but eat and fucking sleep. Like, and he's just like I don't. He just keeps growing and growing. Like you're like,
yeah, he's
fuck
a little chubby baby. He's cute.
Thank you.
He's my second victim of stalking in the making.
As he gets older.
When I found out you were pregnant again, I'm like, yes,
more cute
another one
babies.
in the squad.
new fan club.
I do have to say, like, totally don't recommend being pregnant during a pandemic. But
yeah, I'm sure.
Also true.
Yeah, that was not fun. You know, Zach, that was the only appointment Zach went to, I think, was our 8 and our 12-week. appointment because COVID hit and he couldn't come to anything. So like he couldn't even come to my 20-week anatomy scan to find out like the gender. And we had the tech write it on a envelope and we opened it up together at the house.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So.
And I called that too. Just
Oh, shut up. You had a 50-50 shot. Like,
Good point.
heads or tails. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's, thank you, one, again, for sharing your story and everything else. I think it's really important. I would like to give you a moment to just, like a closing argument, like kind of like, what would you want to let people know about this? Like what, something passionate about, just a little, little snippet.
Yeah,
you had a little monologue.
Yeah, you're not alone. Like you're walking amongst other women and you don't know their story or whatever, but there's people out there who are vocal about it. I am one of those people. So, if you are going through this, feel free to, if you want to plug my IG, no, I'm just kidding. If you want to, plug my social media, I mean, reach out to Bobby or Katie and just say, hey, I'm experiencing this too. I want to talk to Leanne. I'll be that person. I've had so many people, reach out to me, friends of Bobby's, friends of friends, who have gone through this and just, it's stuff that we don't talk about, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't know why there is such a stigma on pregnancy loss, but there is. It's just something women don't talk about. I think they are embarrassed because, again, your body's it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. So yeah, I'm someone who's always going to be vocal about it. I'm here. I've experienced it. I can share, resources with you and things that helped me got through it.
What kind of things helped you get through it?
I have to look it up. I meant to do that earlier, but there is this book about a baby, that's a little boy who visited heaven and his parents had experienced child loss. And he talked about his sibling in heaven and to the detail. And it's based on a true story.
Oh, wow. Okay.
About he just oh yeah, I went and I saw my brother, and just reading about that and how there is hope at the end of the light at the end of the rainbow, or whatever. Channeled that. There, the hospital did offer a grief group, but again, I just didn't feel comfortable doing it because I'm here I am. I had a very early miscarriage. There's women out there who've lost children to SIDS. There's women who've lost their babies at 26 weeks. I don't feel that.
You didn't feel like your story was enough to go to those support groups.
To go to those support groups. So it's out there, but I feel like people who've gone through similar what I've gone through, they don't want to do that because they're in that same position. So I did a lot of reading online, just support groups online and stuff. I journaled. I journaled. I just kind of put my thoughts onto paper and that
can be so therapeutic.
It's so therapeutic. It's something I haven't listened to your episode from last week, but it's something I learned in therapy.
Always plug therapy.
And journaling, and it's just something that I've carried over. It's just you just need to get your thoughts out and then burn them or whatever, and that's what I did. And listened to music, went to the gym.
Do you have any advice for example, someone like me or Bobby or just someone else who's close to you or when you do go through that? What would you say would be the right thing or helpful thing?
As a support person?
Yeah, what do you say? What could we do to help you with that?
I mean, there's so many things you can't, it's so hard to be there's things that people have said oh, well, at least you can get pregnant. Don't say that to somebody because it's okay, yeah, I know I can get pregnant, but I want to stay pregnant.
Yeah,
that doesn't
what's the
help.
point if you're pregnant if
yeah,
it doesn't stay?
That doesn't help.
I'm capable of doing a backflip, but it's gonna hurt.
Right.
It's gonna hurt 99 times I try until I get it. You know what I mean?
There's to see you do a backflip, Bobby.
There's certain things that some people have said that oh, at least you can get pregnant, or you have one healthy baby already, or this is your body's way of telling you that something was wrong. It's well, if something was wrong, I was going to love that child regardless. Yeah. It's still something I didn't want to go through. I mean, so it's just kind of let that person vent. Let them, be have yourself be a shoulder to cry on for them. Keep them occupied, take them out somewhere, drink heavily if you can.
Yeah.
If you can.
Won't be hard.
Divulged in way too much wine. It's just be there as a listener for somebody to just kind of vent about it, because you don't know what people are going through, and that's just with anything, struggling here and then seeing people post their pregnancies and you're what the fuck. I don't have anybody to talk about this to. Like, I'm happy for them. I'm excited for them. But at the same time, I'm sad because I want that. I want that joy in announcing the pregnancy. That's why you'll see me post, like I said, in October, you'll see me post on April Fools. Pregnancy jokes as an April Fool's joke piss me the fuck off.
And it's so interesting. This past April, I saw you post that, and I never thought about it. I'm like, fuck. Like, wow.
Yeah, and to me, it's like people will come back and say, like, well, you can't let somebody else's actions, like, dictate your feelings. I was like, but it's the fact that there's women out there who would give anything to post that, to post to their family, to share with their family that they're pregnant. And here you are. It's not a joke. It's not funny. Like, it's not funny to fake a pregnancy. So that's just one thing I am passionate about. Don't ever do that. I flat out said, I will delete you if I see it. And someone did do it. And I was like, bye. Like, you're done. I was like, you're doing it. Bye, bitch. Like, sorry. I take it seriously. I just don't think it's funny. I don't think jokes about pregnancy and faking it are funny because it hits home.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of hitting home, one thing that Bobby and I, when we were talking about this episode, I love having the female perspective, but I think an interesting voice to include in this would be your husband. I would love to hear what Zach went through with this. So we actually have Zach with us here today. Zach, welcome back.
How you doing? It's great to be back again.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, Zach was on an earlier episode, so he is a pro podcaster now.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
I'm better than Leanne.
Not true.
The competition ensues already. So, like Caitlin had mentioned, we really wanted to kind of get both perspectives here just on this topic that is, not talked about a lot, and I feel like, being on the other side of it, on the I guess would it be the receiving end of it?
Just another end. I think we were talking about this, like, girls post about it on Facebook. That's how I learned about your journey. But I've never seen a man post about this.
Yeah.
So talk to us. What was it like for you?
Well, one, I'm not really a social media guy, so I wouldn't post anything anyway. And I think, like, I was raised, to be a man's man, like when the family's down, you're up. You're the guy who's got to keep everything moving here, because if you're breaking down, then everything's breaking down. So, it sucked. Like it was a gut punch, especially the first time. But like it sounds sick to say, but after 2, 3, you kind of just get numb to it. Like, you're like, oh, another miscarriage. Okay. In my mind, I'm like, okay, cool, more sex. There's
always an ulterior motive.
Yeah. So, and like, but like this past pregnancy with Zane was a little more, I guess, high strung, because like she had enough going through all this, and I don't blame her. It's, she's got to get all the surgeries, the DNCs they called. She had to get all that done, and every time you go into surgery, it's a risk, and this was the last one we were going to do. So this one I was nervous for. But as far as dealing with it, I was just there for her. If she needed something, whether it be a hug or like a kick in the butt, like, sometimes you got to have some tough love. And I can show my love a little rough sometimes. Like, a lot of times, the more I care, the harder I am on people. But it's like, it's because I care about you. So, I mean, sometimes we had some arguments over it, but we got through it, and we have 2 awesome kids, and, you just keep going, keep pushing through it.
So I have a interesting, did you ever think it was you?
The first time, well, no, I didn't, because we were getting pregnant. I mean, a lot of the times when it's the guy, nothing's really happening. Am I right about that?
Yeah. So like the women, like, if I believe, I could be wrong too, so don't quote me on this, but at least from my experience in talking with some friends who are struggling with infertility, that they haven't even gotten pregnant. So
yeah,
that's when multiple times I'm not getting pregnant, then her husband or boyfriend, fiance, whatever, significant other would go and get tested.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think we decided that we were going to try, and it was like, boom, done, got it done. I'm like, yeah.
I'm the fucking man.
I'm the
man.
Myrtle.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is great. And then we're all excited, and then boom, 6 weeks, it had stopped growing. And, I look at things too. I try to find like a positive out of it. Like, thank God it stopped at 6 weeks. Like, imagine if it was like full term and you like have a stillborn. I don't know how I could handle that. Right. Like, at least like at 6 weeks, she never really started to change. You never saw the kicks. You never heard the heartbeat. So it never really got to be something. So you never really got attached to it. So it kind of made, I guess, for me, a little easier to not be so upset about it and like, hey, this is something we're going through. We got to just, we got to get you fixed and then, and we'll make it right.
And I think that's interesting too, because after just speaking with Leanne so long, you kind of spoke to the opposite of that.
And I was just going to say,
I think it's interesting to hear like what that's like for two different partners.
Yeah, and I think it's, because guys don't go through it. I mean, they
like
can't
physically,
get
it's not
physically they can't get. So like to me, it's like the moment you find out you're pregnant as a woman, you're automatically a mom. Like you're a mom from day one, and so having that loss, it sucks, and you're grieving because you do get attached, and even though it wasn't anything yet, you don't. To me, it was, and it's a loss, and it's something that I'm always going to sit here and wonder, like, what would that child have been like? I think this past September was. Would have been our first due date, or like their first due date for their first pregnancy, and the kid would have been 5.
Oh wow!
So it's like kind of think. Like,
what would your
like,
life
what
be like
been.
right now with a 5-year-old?
Right.
Yeah.
What would my life been with a 5-year-old? Like what we
probably
had,
bald.
like it's stuff that I think about,
and that's probably Zach. I'm just guessing. Is that something that you even crossed your mind?
Yeah, I mean. It did. I mean, because I feel like I'm older. Like I'm 36. I feel like I'm older to be having a 3-month-old. I know that's kind of like the norm today. There's a lot of, older guys and older moms having kids. But like, my goal was to graduate college. I want to have all my kids by the time I was 30.
Oh, wow.
Well, that just never happened, which is
Joke's
fine.
on you.
Yeah. And
Joke's on you for dating somebody 5 years younger than
Yeah.
Burn.
5.5. But so I was gonna so you just adapt and readjust, and you set your goals different. But when we first had our first one was we found out she was expecting, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I think I was 30.
You were.
I was 31.
Yeah.
I was 31.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. I'm a little behind, but it's cool. And then it's just like it didn't happen. And then she had surgery. And then a second one, and it didn't happen. I'm like, is this ever going to happen?
Did you guys ever talk about adopting or anything like that if it didn't work out?
I don't think we did.
No, I wasn't. We had talked to enough people, and even the guy we had, Dr. Lindbergh, awesome dude, he's retired. Him and his wife went through the same thing we went through. So we kind of had enough. Like, it's not uncommon. So I think that's what helped me deal with it the most. Like, I talked to a ton of people. Yeah, we had a couple miscarriages. Yeah, it's no big deal. Like, you'll get through it. But the one thing I got sick of hearing all the time was, well, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. I'm like, I get it wasn't meant to be. And there's probably a reason why we didn't have that kid. Maybe the kid would have been severely ill, or maybe, we just weren't ready or whatever. But it still I get sick and hear it. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. I'm like, all right, that's.
We can
That
have
doesn't
that. We
help.
can have that person talk to Micah O'Malley, who already explained in previous episodes that everything does not happen for a reason. It just happens. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
I mean, things happen, and you just, like I said, I just wanted to be there for her. It could have drove a wedge through our relationship. I could have been sitting there being, why can't we have kids? This is your fault. But it takes two to tango. I mean, it could have been something, with me. I don't know either, but. Like I said, that's all in the past now.
It's just so wild to me that you guys just still don't know what it was.
Yeah, we don't. And, and kind of piggybacking off of, like, what Zach said, like, I'm thankful he wasn't like, it's your fault, because I constantly felt that fault. It's my fault. Like, obviously it's me because it's not him. We're getting pregnant. So I think that's why I was kind of like always upset about it. It's like, it's me. And, thankfully he wasn't that way, because there's plenty of men out there who have been. Like,
I mean, everything else is her fault, but
Yes.
but not that.
Yes.
Not
There
So I
it
have
is.
to ask, because he asked Leanne, obviously you guys were having sex more. Was that sex different for you when it was like, we have to do it right now, we're ovulating, go? Like,
Yeah, it was. It felt like a job. I mean, trust me, it was a great job, but it felt like a job. For, she's like, okay, we got to go now, or I'm like, sometimes I was asking her, like, you're ovulating now, right? Let's go. Come on, you know? But, you know.
Zach's got the app on his phone.
Yeah.
Yo, I see you're ovulating
It's
this weekend,
time.
right?
Let's go. But, yeah, and then the funny thing too, like you start talking to guys like, we got to hit it on this date. You got to do it 3 days before, 3 days after, and you got to do it this way. You got to do it that way. I mean, and I know some of them miss, but trust me, I was trying all the ideas.
That's and to kind of speak to the reason like why I asked like if you ever thought that it was you, you know, because I'm infertile, as far as I know, you know, from going through chemo and stuff like that, and that was like, you know, kind of shocking news because like I up until for majority of my life I was like, yeah, there's absolutely no way like I want to have kids, like because
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for a very long time I was like, there is no way. One, I don't like babies. Two, I'm like, I am a pain in the ass, and me bringing in another me is scary as
We
shit.
don't need any more Bobbies.
Well,
Yeah.
probably be a perfect genius though. That's what you're.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
be a
like,
gem.
I'm like, God damn it. So, but
Did it
yeah,
take
but
you learning that you were infertile to maybe make you want kids?
so
That
no.
was going to be my question.
It's a great question.
Great question.
No, I don't think it did, but it definitely changed my perspective because it was different when someone was like, or when I was like, I don't want to have kids, to then when a doctor came in and said, you don't have sperm. And it's like, you can't have kids. And you're just like, oh, fuck. So it's like that liberty is taken away from you, you know? So you're just like, man, it's different when you choose to, but then when
It's different when you have control, and this is something you didn't have control over.
I have no control over that. So like as far as I know, you know, I don't have any swimmers. So like if I do meet the right girl and this, that, and the other thing, and there's a time where we decide, like we have decisions to make, you know what I mean? Like I know I should go get tested again to see if it came back, because it can come back, but I
No
haven't.
pun intended.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good.
There you go. That's why we brought her on. But yeah, so like, you know, I should go get that tested, but you know, it's just one of those things that is, life just gets in the way. But yeah, I mean, like if it still comes back 0, like we have some serious decisions to make. You know what I mean?
Do you tell girls this when you start? Like, I guess is that something that you have said in previous relationships?
I'm infertile.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's, as a woman, if I were dating you, and I would want to know that pretty early, because
Oh, yeah. 'cause
not
it's
for
like-
nothing. Like, I don't mean to be an ass, but like, are there other options? Are you into other options? Like, I want kids. That's really important to me. And if I was dating a guy and he didn't tell me for a while, I'd be like, what the fuck, bro?
Well, like that's interesting. Like, what's too early? Because like, if
You
I'm
say
a
it
guy
too soon, then it's weird.
and I go out on a date with you, and I'm gonna say, hey, this is our first date, but you have to know I can't have kids. So right away in your
That's
mind,
true.
you're going, wait, I'm on a date. You're talking about having kids with me?
well, I don't go
Uh,
on dates, remember?
Check.
So
That's true. You don't go on dates. If you meet a guy at a bar and you come and say, hey, you're really pretty, I can't have kids. I mean, so like, what's too soon, or what's not soon enough? I
I
mean,
don't know. So do you tell girls, or?
Yeah, I mean, clearly I have a fucking podcast, you know what I mean? So I'm an open book, you know what I mean? So I talk about my cancer journey and all that stuff pretty candidly with people.
Yeah,
so
I guess that's a good segue.
So like it's pretty easy to kind of transition into that. So almost every single girl that I have been with after my journey does know, yes. So to answer your question directly, yes. Okay. But it's still like a weird feeling, because you're just like, yeah, I don't, and I definitely downplay it. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I don't fucking care, because I'm Tommy Toughnuts, right? But you know, it is weird, you know. And I know another friend of mine who was not fertile as well too, and took him 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, to get it back. And they just had a beautiful baby too. I was actually just on the phone with him the other day. Had a beautiful baby and baby boy and whatnot. Yeah, so it wound up working out for them. And I remember when they got pregnant, I called him and I was just like, no one else deserves this more than you guys do, just because I know that he like tried so hard, and he would go every single year and get tested, because he also had lymphoma as well. And he would get tested every single year, and this anything, and it was 0, 0, 0. And then finally they came back, and
so
they
there
were
might
like,
be hope for you yet.
there you go. Yeah, they go, you got a couple swimmers, and he was like, it was
just takes one.
yeah, exactly.
one, yeah.
And I remember when I called him, when I found out, he was like, yeah, I found out a couple swimmers, and it was a couple of text to the boss saying, "Hey, I gotta go home. My girl's ovulating." You know what I mean? It was like 4 or 5 times of doing that, and here we are.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of rainbow babies, you have Eva and Zane. Do you ever talk about this? Like, do you plan to tell Eva about this? Like, is she aware right now? I mean, I know she's only 3.
She's 3.5. I mean, she definitely doesn't know.
I mean, but like, it's interesting. Like, if the baby would have went full term and it was actually buried in a graveyard, I'd say
It'd be different.
Be different, but because like she like not to like make light of it, but she just lost it 6 weeks. I don't know if it's like, okay, you're old enough now. Your mom had 2 miscarriages.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
Like, so I mean, if she asks, we'll tell her, but it's not gonna be like, okay, we need to sit down and have a family
It's
discussion
not something that
thing.
you're like, we're gonna prep
Right.
for this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe like as she gets older and kind of like explaining to her like the birds and the bees and like that type of thing. But even then it's like, okay, well,
I mean, she might deal with it when she gets
She's older.
and
Exactly.
maybe we'll tell her then, like, hey, don't worry about it. Just, make sure you find a good man that's going to support you and, not knock you down over, which is huge, because, she couldn't be by herself for a couple days, especially the first one. But, maybe we'll tell her then. But, I mean, Zane, I
we'll
mean,
just raise him to be, supportive. I want him to
and sympathetic to that stuff
Yeah.
because like I have no time for any of that, messing around or any of that stuff. I'm like, just so all about, just having
Being a good
babies.
person.
Yeah.
So they say that kids can sense that kind of stuff. Do you think that she knows? At all?
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because just the other day Zach was getting home from the gym.
It's Friday night. This
past Friday, and I was in the kitchen cooking dinner, and Zane was napping, and Eva was just kind of like she's into like dress up right now, so she was like in her.
She's
in
crazy.
Yeah.
Just playing. She's crazy.
She's got the
running around.
heaviest feet in the
Oh
world
my
too.
gosh. So she was like dancing around in the kitchen, and she like stopped, and she had like one of her princess necklaces on, and she said, "Mommy, I have a sister, and she lives in my heart."
No.
And I like stopped what I was doing, and I was like, "What did you say?"
All right, I'm crying again. It's happening again. Oh my God.
You're gonna make me cry because like I held it in for her because I just don't like crying in front of her because then she gets all.
Did you hear
sad.
this, Zach, too? Were you there for that?
Yeah, I was. Well,
He was just walking in the door.
I was walking the door, and she's dancing around, and she's being Eva. She's living up to the name Eva Monster. And she's running around, and she says this, and we're like, "What?" And then she said again, like she said she has a sister, and she lives in her heart. I'm like, whoa, the chills, the whole thing. I'm like,
It was bizarre.
she's never like we
Did
never.
she elaborate on it at all?
Nope.
No,
She just dropped it like it never happened
I think
again.
she's like Eva's very observant, so like she saw a reaction and was like, "Is this something I should be talking about?" type of thing. So she kind of just shut down a little bit. But like we tried pulling it out of her, and I think we do that a lot with her. Like when she says something, we're like trying to get more information out of her. She's like, "No, I don't want to say it." She's too smart. But I didn't press it anymore with her. I didn't want to. I didn't want to put that pressure on her to talk about it. If she brings it up again, like cool.
That's
but like
amazing.
it was
Wow.
just. It was so weird because like we've never
She's
talked
never
about it.
she's never said anything like that before, and she's never said like that. I mean, after it's only been a couple days. Now she just did have a new niece that was born,
Right.
so I don't know if that was like, but I mean, it was just
too weird.
It was so direct what she said.
So beautiful. I love
Yeah,
it.
it was.
And like it's weird because like we 3 miscarriages, we only knew the gender of one.
One was a boy.
Could the tissue that they did the genetic testing on, they're like, "Oh, do you want to come back? Do you want to know what it is?" Like, "Oh, it was a boy." We're like, "Oh, thanks."
Is that like great news? Thanks.
Thanks.
Like, there's
That
my
made me-
son.
There goes my
That makes
son.
me feel really good about myself that it was going to be a boy, but so we don't know the gender or sorry, the sex of the the other 2. So in a way it's like, okay, maybe it was a girl and it is her sister that lives in her heart. I don't know. It hit hard and then just
Yeah, well, and like back to those tests and stuff that she got. I don't know if she like even like elaborate on this stuff, but
Yeah, she did.
what was I think the most frustrating about those tests she had to take was nothing came up wrong.
Yeah.
I think that was. Did you mention that?
Yeah, we
Okay.
spoke about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it was
just
so like to me. Anytime I actually showed any kind of frustration through this whole was that I'm like I wanted to come back and say
I want a
this
fucking
is
answer.
wrong. Like this is what's wrong. I need to take this medicine. She needs to take that, and it's fixed. No, your progesterone's a little low. And then the second And then after we had Eva, I remember them saying, well, you probably don't need that anymore. I was like, what? Like, can someone give me a straight answer here? Or just tell me, look, it's going to be tough. You just keep banging.
Yeah,
you know?
Just keep banging. You're like,
get
yes,
it.
that's what I want to
Yeah.
hear. And Leanne's like, that does not include oral, Zach.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything else that you want to address? Any last thoughts or anything like that?
I think if we give Zach some, like we gave her a closing argument, let's give Zach a closing thing. Like, what would you suggest as far as like a male saying, you know, going through this with their wife? Like, what would you tell?
If the wife's having the miscarriage, he's fine.
Yeah. Like,
because that's all I know.
Yeah, your role. Yeah.
You know, just be supportive for her. If she's gonna be crazy at times. She's gonna think it's her fault, you know, and you're gonna tell her it's not your fault, and she's gonna say, yes, it is my fault. And you're gonna have almost be like, look, I'm telling you, it's fine. And she's gonna say, no, it's all my fault. Just be there for her. You know, just give her a hug, and sometimes a little tough love if warranted is okay. You know, sometimes like it's time to get up, it's time to move on. You got to go to work. We got to have we got to keep moving here. And that's what I kept in my mind. Just, you know, you just keep going on next day. You know, don't be ashamed to tell people you had a miscarriage. I know, you know, I work with a lot of guys, and you know, like you tell them, oh, wife's expecting, and then you see them again, and they ask what's going on, and then you say, well, you know, we lost a baby. Like, don't be ashamed to say that, because it happens. It's nothing she's doing, nothing you're doing, just wasn't meant to be, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it just wasn't something.
But don't say that.
Yeah.
But don't say that.
But don't say that too. But like, don't be ashamed, because you know, there is element of embarrassment there. And once you tell people that you're pregnant, then you gotta tell them again the same story, like, hey, we lost the baby again at 6 weeks. It's almost gets a little
exhausting.
Yeah, it gets exhausting. So, you know, and then you get kind of weird, you know, when you find out you're pregnant, and you just want to hunker down and not talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, don't be embarrassed to say, hey, we lost a baby, just, you know, just something we got to go through, and you know, we'll
on to the next one. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's interesting. I want to point out too that we interviewed the first part of this, Leanne by herself, and we brought Zach in for the second half. So it's interesting to see the overlap. You guys are saying a lot of the same things. So.
Yeah, I actually did want to point that out. Like you said, you had touched on, you're like, I don't like when people make jokes about it. And that was literally her closing argument.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, and you were upstairs tending to two other children.
Zane
and
Which
Eva.
we'll point out too also that if you hear any babies crying or heavy feet upstairs, it's the two
ones.
rainbow babies upstairs.
Yep.
Yeah, Eva Monster and Zane Train doing the thing. So on that note, just want to thank you guys, Leanne, especially. I know it's not an easy topic discussing. It's very emotional and whatnot. So thank you for sharing your story and coming out and spending time on the podcast. Zach, thanks for coming back on and providing a different perspective as well too. I think that was pretty important to have you on as well.
Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you for finally having me.
You're welcome.
Leanne, do you want to plug your Instagram? People want to reach out to you?
Sure. It's my Instagram is just my first and last name, Leanne Freiling, LeAnnefryling.
And Zach, we know you don't have Instagram, which is fine.
I'm a caveman. Just if you have something to say to me, you can say to her.
Yeah, if you want, you can reach out to Zach through me.
Yeah, just be respectful. We'll come after you.
There you go. So on that note, again, make sure you guys follow the Irregular Podcast Instagram. It is at Irregular Podcast. Feel free to follow my personal Instagram as well too, at Yobob, EYOO_BOB. And make sure to like, follow, subscribe the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on, whether that's Spotify or Apple Podcast, etc.
And make sure you follow my personal Instagram as well at Katie_ANI. That's KAITY_ANI. Also, please feel free to join the Facebook group. There's a lot of fuckery that goes on in there. Daily polls, fun stuff. And if you're interested in joining the podcast, if you want to come on as a guest, reach out to us. Like I always say, I want more DMs. So get in our DMs. Make me an offer I can't refuse. And we will see you guys next Thursday.
Love y'all.